Have you ever finished a workday feeling completely drained, even though you didn't do anything physically exhausting? Have you noticed that over time, your motivation slowly gave way to irritability, constant anxiety, or a quiet sense of inadequacy? What we often label as normal stress may actually be the impact of a toxic work environment affecting our emotional health day after day. Toxicity at work is not always obvious. It can show up in subtle comments disguised as jokes, unrealistic expectations paired with excessive pressure, leadership that relies on fear, or coworkers who foster gossip and unhealthy competition. Gradually, this atmosphere becomes part of the routine, and we start to believe that this is just how work is. But our mind and body do not interpret it that way. They respond. If this topic resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here at WellState, our mission is to bring thoughtful, practical insights that support your mental health and overall quality of life. Turning on notifications is a simple way to stay connected to content that can make a meaningful difference in your daily experience. When we talk about a toxic work environment, we are referring to patterns of behavior, management practices, and organizational cultures that consistently generate psychological distress. This is not about an occasional disagreement or a challenging day. Conflict is part of human interaction. The problem begins when disrespect, humiliation, excessive pressure, instability, or lack of recognition become the norm. Our brains are highly sensitive to social context. They are wired to detect threats and respond quickly. In a toxic workplace, the brain begins to interpret everyday interactions as potential dangers. A meeting can trigger intense anxiety. A message from a supervisor can cause a spike in heart rate. A minor mistake can create disproportionate fear of punishment or public embarrassment. This constant state of alert activates the body's stress response system. Hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline are released more frequently. In short bursts, they are helpful. They help us focus, react, and solve problems. But when this heightened state continues for weeks or months, the body begins to pay a significant price. Common symptoms may include insomnia, irritability, difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, muscle tension, frequent headaches, and even digestive issues. Many people begin to ask themselves, "What's wrong with me?" without realizing that the issue may not be solely internal, but also connected to the environment they are exposed to every single day. Another important consequence is the gradual erosion of self-esteem. In toxic environments, constructive feedback is rare, while criticism is frequent and often harsh. Achievements may go unnoticed, while mistakes are magnified. Over time, even highly capable professionals can begin to doubt their competence. They may feel inadequate, constantly behind, or never good enough. This distorted self-perception can open the door to anxiety disorders and depressive symptoms. A culture of fear is another critical factor. When communication is driven by threats of termination, public shaming, or impossible targets without proper support, work stops being a space for growth and becomes a space for emotional survival. Living in survival mode consumes mental and emotional energy at an unsustainable rate. There are also more explicit cases, such as workplace bullying, humiliating remarks, intentional exclusion, unfair removal of responsibilities, sabotage, or deliberate overload are forms of psychological aggression. The emotional impact can be profound. Individuals may develop chronic stress symptoms, panic episodes, and in more severe cases, clinical depression. Even without a clearly identifiable aggressor, the broader organizational culture can still be harmful. Companies that glorify overwork as commitment, ignore personal boundaries, or promote extreme competition create environments where rest is seen as weakness and mistakes are treated as unforgivable failures. In these contexts, employees learn to suppress their emotional needs in order to adapt. The body, however, does not stay silent. It sends signals. The lack of motivation that was once occasional can become constant. The sense of purpose may disappear. Emotional detachment can develop, as if the person is operating on autopilot just to get through the day. These are classic signs of burnout, now widely recognized as a consequence of chronic workplace stress. It is essential to understand that emotional illness rarely appears overnight. The process is usually gradual. Repeated episodes of disrespect, accumulated frustration, ongoing pressure, and lack of support slowly wear down mental health. By the time someone realizes the extent of the damage, they may already feel deeply exhausted and disconnected from themselves. Recognizing the connection between a toxic environment and emotional suffering is a crucial step. Many people blame themselves. They believe they need to be stronger, more resilient, more productive. But mental health is not simply about willpower. It is deeply influenced by the conditions in which we live and work. Understanding this does not mean adopting a victim mindset. It means cultivating awareness. When we acknowledge that the environment plays a significant role in our distress, we create space to reflect on boundaries, coping strategies, and, in some cases, the need for more substantial changes in our professional lives. Once we recognize how deeply the work environment can affect emotional health, an important question arises: what can be done? Leaving a job immediately is not always realistic. Financial responsibilities, career goals, and personal circumstances often require careful consideration. That's why the first step is internal and begins with awareness and validation. Validation means acknowledging your emotional responses are legitimate. If you feel persistent anxiety before work, recurring fear of making mistakes, or a significant decline in self-confidence since entering a particular environment, those signals deserve attention. Ignoring or minimizing them only prolongs the harm. Strengthening support systems is another key strategy. Talking with trusted friends, family members, or supportive colleagues can help organize your thoughts and reduce the sense of isolation. Toxic workplaces often create a feeling of loneliness, as if you're the only one struggling. Open conversations can provide perspective and sometimes reveal that the issue is structural rather than personal. Seeking professional support can also be transformative. Therapy is not reserved for extreme situations. It offers practical tools to manage stress, develop assertive communication skills, and rebuild self-esteem that may have been damaged with time. A qualified professional can help you distinguish between what is within your control and what is not, preventing you from carrying burdens that do not belong to you. On a daily level, small self-care practices act as protective factors. Setting boundaries, as much as possible, is one of them. This may mean not responding to emails after work hours, taking genuine breaks during the day, or respectfully communicating when a deadline is unrealistic. These actions may feel uncomfortable at first, but they are essential forms of emotional preservation. Caring for the body also supports the mind. Consistent sleep, balanced nutrition, and regular physical activity do not eliminate a toxic environment, but they strengthen resilience. When we are physically depleted, our ability to cope with emotional stress decreases significantly. It is also important to re-evaluate personal beliefs about work. Many people have been conditioned to tie their self-worth entirely to professional performance. In a toxic setting, this belief becomes especially harmful. Separating your identity from your job title is a powerful step. You are more than your productivity. Your value does not depend on constant approval from supervisors or peers. In some situations, thoughtful planning for change becomes necessary. This does not have to be impulsive. It can involve updating your resume, developing new skills, building financial stability, and exploring opportunities that align better with your values. Having a plan reduces the feeling of being trapped and restores a sense of agency. On the flip side, organizations and leaders also carry responsibility. Healthy workplaces don't happen by accident. They are built through clear policies that promote respect, safe communication channels, realistic expectations, and a genuine commitment to employee well-being. Raising awareness about these issues contributes to broader cultural shifts. The connection between a toxic work environment and emotional illness is not a sign of weakness. It's a human response to prolonged exposure to unhealthy conditions. When we understand this relationship, we stop blaming ourselves and begin seeking healthier paths. If this video brought clarity or helped you reflect on your own experience, consider liking it and sharing it with someone who might benefit from this message. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue exploring topics related to mental health, well-being, and quality of life.
Thank you for taking the time to engage with this important conversation. Caring for your emotional health is a fundamental step toward building a more balanced and intentional life.